Historically, it's been assumed that God, if such a being exists, would be an all-good or all-loving being. But must this necessarily be the case? Could God be evil? Given the complexity of the topic at hand, it's essential to delve deeply into the philosophical discourse surrounding the concept of an evil God, and why such a notion, when closely examined, reveals a multitude of logical inconsistencies and contradictions that challenge its plausibility. This exploration will not only engage with classical theism and its portrayal of a maximally great being, but will also critically assess the implications of positing an antithetical entity, a deity characterized by malevolence. Through this conversation, we aim to uncover the philosophical underpinnings that render the concept of an evil God untenable, drawing upon a blend of ontological, moral, and existential arguments. The foundation: classical theism and maximal greatness. Classical theism presents God as the epitome of maximal greatness, encompassing omniscience, all-knowing, omnipotence, all-powerful, and omnibenevolence, all good. This depiction isn't arbitrary but stems from a profound philosophical investigation into the nature of perfection and the qualities a supreme being must possess to be considered truly supreme. The concept of God in this framework embodies the pinnacle of moral perfection. Why moral perfection, though? This attribute isn't just a nice-to-have, it's integral to the concept of maximal greatness. Moral perfection indicates a being whose actions, will, and character are the ultimate source of all that is good, just, and loving. It's a beacon of the highest conceivable standards of morality. The paradox of an evil God. Now let's pivot to the heart of our discourse, the notion of an evil God. This concept, at first glance, might appear merely as a symmetrical counterpart to the good God of classical theism. However, a closer examination reveals a tangle of contradictions and logical fallacies. The primary contradiction lies in the association of maximal greatness with moral imperfection. To claim that an entity can embody maximal greatness while epitomizing evil, a privation or corruption of the good, is to misunderstand the very nature of greatness. Greatness, especially in its maximal form, cannot be aligned with the negation of good. Evil, philosophically considered, is often understood not as a substance in itself, but as a departure from good, a lack or a distortion of what is inherently positive. The reality of objective moral values and duties. One of the most compelling arguments against the existence of an evil God arises from our understanding and experience of objective moral values and duties. If an all-evil deity governed the cosmos, we would expect to witness a world steeped in chaos and malevolence, where evil reigns supreme with little to no evidence of good. Yet, our world, despite its flaws and suffering, is replete with instances of goodness, altruism, justice, and love. These are not merely the absence of evil, but positive manifestations of good that suggest a moral foundation inherently good in nature. The existence of objective moral values and duties which we recognize and uphold points to a reality that is fundamentally at odds with the notion of an all-evil God. How do we account for acts of self-sacrifice, altruism, or the pursuit of justice? These acts, which affirm life, foster community, and elevate our collective moral landscape, are inexplicable under the dominion of an evil God. The problem of good, the evil God's conundrum. An interesting twist in this philosophical exploration is the problem of good, which serves as a mirror to the well-discussed problem of evil in theism. Theists have long grappled with reconciling the existence of evil with an all-good God. Conversely, the hypothesis of an evil God faces a parallel dilemma, the overwhelming presence of good. How does one explain the pervasive and often inexplicable acts of goodness, kindness, and love in a world supposedly under the sway of an evil deity? This conundrum not only challenges the coherence of an evil God, but also starkly highlights the fundamental contradictions in such a concept. Conclusion: the philosophical incoherence of an evil God. In sum, the proposition of an evil God is fraught with philosophical inconsistencies and logical contradictions. The very attributes that define maximal greatness, omniscience, omnipotence, and especially omnibenevolence, cannot be reconciled with the essence of evil. Moreover, the observable reality of objective moral values and duties, coupled with the inescapable presence of good, further undermines the plausibility of an evil God. This discourse, grounded in classical theism, moral philosophy, and empirical observation, not only challenges the notion of an evil God, but also reinforces the philosophical coherence of a good, maximally great being. Our exploration has traversed the philosophical landscape, engaging with complex notions of divinity, morality, and existence. The conversation reveals that the concept of an evil God, when scrutinized, dissolves into a paradox, unable to withstand the rigors of logical and moral scrutiny. This journey, while hypothetical in its engagement with the notion of an evil God, reaffirms the foundational principles of classical theism and the philosophical arguments for a maximally great being characterized by goodness. In this light, the idea of an evil God not only falls short of coherence, but also fails to resonate with our deepest moral intuitions and the tangible reality of our moral experiences.